It's the end of a fashion era. L'enfant terrible of French fashion, Jean-Paul Gaultier, is retiring from the catwalk. His last show that marked 50 years of his career took place this week during Paris Haute Couture. I'm joined in the studio by fashion writers Susie and Alice Pfeiffer. Welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you. Thanks. Now, Madonna's cone bras, blue and white stripy T-shirts, saintly models and corsets. What comes to mind for you guys when you think of Jean-Paul Gaultier?
I think for me, it's just his overall embracing of subcultures, unconventional figures, people who are like maybe are not considered beautiful in the conventional sense, and brought into an haute couture context. And what he did, in the 80s and the 90s was really, really super revolutionary.
I think also his shows were always very much multicultural and brought in elements from street culture. I remember bracelets made out of old cans and also hypersexual. I remember the sailors, obviously, the sailor stripes, which turned into the iconic Le Mal perfume bottles, the Madonna Blonde Ambition tour from the 90s that I discovered as a pre-teenager. So it was a mix and match that you'd never seen on a runway before.
OK, well, as fashion's greatest showman retires from the catwalk spotlight, let's have a look back at his 50-year career.
He decided to break the news in a light-hearted video on social media.
Ça va être mon dernier défilé de couture, my last Gaultier Paris show.
On Wednesday, Jean-Paul Gaultier announced his retirement from the runway after 50 years in haute couture, sending shockwaves through the fashion world.
He did say he wasn't stopping completely, so he'll continue in some other way.
He's an icon, a legend. I wish him all the best.
It's sad, but that's how it is. I think you've got to stop at some point.
Jean-Paul Gaultier started out at the age of 18 as Pierre Cardin and went on to become one of the industry's most innovative designers, known for his creative flair and provocative style, which pushed the boundaries of fashion, from his unisex sailor stripes to Madonna's cone bra. French star Ariel Dombal also wore the iconic garment.
It was such an honor for me to travel across France and to be dressed by Jean-Paul Gaultier at my concerts. I felt dazzling. It was a perfect combination of edgy and angelic.
Jean-Paul Gaultier has already said he'll be turning his hand to other creative projects. In 2018, he staged his own hit production, Fashion Freak Show, which looked back at his childhood and early career. According to fashionistas, this is just another stage in his rich career.
Someone like him never really retires. He's always on the go. Even when he stopped making ready-to-wear, he continued doing other collections and collaborations.
Only Jean-Paul Gaultier knows exactly what lies ahead. But one thing is certain, the enfant terrible of fashion won't be stepping out of the limelight just yet.
He's been around for as long as I can remember anyway. What's your favourite fashion moment of Jean-Paul Gaultier?
I think for me, I obviously didn't see it in person at the time, but, it's a show that I revisit like over and over again on YouTube. I think it's a spring, summer, 94? No, maybe 93 haute couture show. And it was like this, a collection about mysticism and religion, and it was like a real kind of mishmash of cultural, just references to different cultures, which at the time is kind of groundbreaking. And today we talk about cultural appropriation and what, how the kind of quagmires that designers face doing that. But when Gaultier did it, I think he did it with such nuance and reverence as well, and it made for a really incredible collection.
And Alice, a favourite fashion moment?
Well, for me, being French and knowing how highbrow French fashion can be, it was really interesting to see people such as Nabila, who's a reality TV star, walk the show, and to see people such as Beth Ditto in weight-obsessed France. So I think it was mostly the women he put forward that were incredibly inspiring.
Jean-Paul Gaultier's first individual ready-to-wear collection was presented in 1976. His last was in 2014. He ventured into haute couture in 1997, the fairy tale world of fashion where dresses can cost hundreds of thousands of euros and are all handmade. Since then, he's done more than 40 collections. This week marked his last. Let's take a look.
I think I have not to complain, you know, like it's a long time, but it's time maybe to rest, not rest because I cannot stop to work, but to do it maybe with some fresh thing, you know, I mean like going with my fashion freak show and also going to do other thing and maybe some other experience, you know, that I like. I don't mean not far from fashion, always something with fashion, but not not go on all that. Now the system and it has changed also the world of fashion.
The final Jean-Paul Gaultier show last night, what did you make of it?
Well, it was all his staples revisited. So there was obviously a lot of stripes. There were masculine, feminine, gender play. There were people such as Kitty Smile wearing gender non-conforming clothes. There were lots of corsets, lots of trompe-l'œil. So it was almost like an anthology of what he's done best in the past couple of decades.
Okay.
I thought what was interesting was that there was a sustainability angle where like only 50 of the 200 looks were actually brand new looks and the rest of it was repurposed out of old collections.
Very timely, isn't it?
Very timely. You know, it just goes to show that even though it is Gaultier's last show, he says he's going to be carrying on haute couture in another form. So, you know, who knows what he's going to be doing to push haute couture forward.
Okay, and he has been loved by so many people all around the world, the likes of Catherine Deneuve, Madonna and Kim Kardashian. Here's one of his muses, Dita Von Teese, at last night's show.
I can't think of anyone that's ever done it with the kind of, quality and uniqueness that he has. You know, I can't, there's a lot of beauty in haute couture and fashion, but, he's really like someone who has made consistently gorgeous craftsmanship, beautiful work, but also with a sense of humor. I think that's the key, is it's all these things that have come together to make magic that I don't think, you really see that much.
And another one of his muses was the gossip front woman Beth Ditto for Jean-Paul Gaultier. It's always been important to showcase his clothes on a range of bodies, ages and gender identities.
I don't think that there's just one type of beauty. I think there are lots of different types. The problem is that we're not brought up to see that other forms of beauty can exist and mix together. I've always been drawn to difference. Maybe it comes from the fact that I myself feel a bit different, a bit rejected even. But what I learned was to look at things with fresh eyes, to see beauty where you wouldn't expect it, interesting beauty. We're all freaks in the end. You might as well get to like it.
So Alice, Jean-Paul Gaultier experimented with gender roles through his clothes like no other person before him, really, blurring the lines between men's and women's clothing. And that's something we've actually seen in Men's Fashion Week that's just wrapped up.
Yeah, definitely. This season there were lots of men dresses, sort of slip dresses, nightgowns for men, from Paloma Spain to Acne to Rick Owens, bodysuits, also tiny little handbags for men, and Dior Homme and Ami also had men's skirts. So it's interesting to see in the Me Too era, is this a sense of post-Me Too masculinity? You know, sort of not roaringly viril, but something a little bit more subtle.
It'll be interesting to see if we catches on the street. From the start, he's always championed women, like no one before him as well, which brings me to the latest haute couture shows that have just wrapped up here in Paris. Dior was a super feminist show, wasn't it?
I mean, Maria Grazia Chiuri at Dior has obviously been posing, questions, like feminist-led questions since she started at Dior. And this time around, she collaborated with a seminal feminist artist, Judy Chicago, who did this kind of an installation of banners asking questions like, what if women ruled the world? What if there was equal parenting? And I think the collection was really like a celebration of strength of women. And, Maria Grazia is not about making like clothes that are like too complicated. She's really about celebrating the form of the women. So she kind of turned to like classical dress, Grecian gowns, things that women, almost like making women into goddesses.
And just quickly, what were your other highlights from Paris Haute Couture Week?
I thought Chanel was an incredible show. I thought Virginie Viard, post-Carl, this was her best collection yet. You're really seeing her signature come through. And she's really introducing a breath of fresh air in haute couture, making it more grounded and more tangible and less about sort of, clothes that are overly like precious. And I just love the whole atmosphere of that show, and I think it was a good decision to have her carry on. She worked with Carl for over 10 years, and she's really coming to the forefront now.
Okay. Susie and Alice, thanks for your company today. It's been a pleasure to have you. We're going to leave you now with some of Jean-Paul Gaultier's biggest fashion moments over the years. Remember our website, we're also on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. There's more news coming up on France 24 after this.